Major college football voice raised this question this week. Will Nick Saban coach in the Big 12? Will Nick Saban coach in the Big 12? Now, had you asked this question just 1 week ago, 7 days ago, that would have been like a record scratch. Like, what the hell are you talking about, John? That is, get this out of here. Totally fantasy la la land. But it's not quite as much anymore because earlier this week, we got a report from Saban's former QB himself, Greg McElroy, that Saban has interest in coming back to coach. So could this really happen? Could Nick Saban coach in the Big 12? Because, as I mentioned, one major voice in the college sports space at least floated the idea of it happening. All right. So here was the report from Greg McElroy, again, former Alabama quarterback, now at ESPN. He said, quote, a very much in the know person that I have a lot of respect for and have spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire. They seem to think Nick Saban is not done coaching. He's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. So look, Greg McElroy is a pretty, I respect McElroy a lot. I think he does a good job. He is a very respected guy in the media space, at least my perception is. And he is certainly not like a hot take artist. That is not a guy who's out there just engagement farming or trying to drum up a bunch of controversy. So because of that, I mean, I put some legitimate stock in his judgment here to trust this person enough to actually go and say that. That's a fascinating story. Now, obviously, that's going to generate a ton of buzz in SEC circles because of the obvious. Not only was he at Alabama, but Alabama's replacement, had a pretty rocky first year. I don't think Alabama fans are sending a bunch of Christmas cards to Kalen DeBoer after losing 3 games, including to Vandy and a terrible Oklahoma team and missing the playoff. So that kicks it into an even different gear, right? Wow. Kalen DeBoer struggling. Nick Saban maybe wants to come back. Could he be back at Alabama? Lots of ways that this discussion can go. Now, Nick Saban is 73, so keep that in mind. God bless him. He looks much younger than that. Nick Saban looks like he's in like his mid-60s. He's actually 73. Maybe I would say like late 50s, early 60s sometimes when I see Saban, but he is in his 70s. Lane Kiffin was talking about him this week at SEC Media Days, and he said, man, it's a shame that he's not coaching because he's still just too sharp to not be doing it. And Lane even kind of threw some shade at the media like, hey, no offense to you guys, but his mind is still too good to be doing that. Thanks, Lane. But fair enough. Anyway, got me thinking. Well, first I'll give credit to Ari Wasserman at On 3 because it got him thinking. And then it got me thinking, what about a LeBron-esque move here? No, not go coach at Miami, not take his talents to South Beach. It's what happened after that, right? Remember, LeBron then went back to Cleveland. He went back home. He went back home to win a title for the hometown team. And what if Nick Saban decided he wanted to go back home to win one for the hometown team? Here is what Ari Wasserman said. He said that question at West Virginia, and Rich Rod is the man I like. But could you imagine him at a Big 12 school like West Virginia, where he grew up reviving the Mountaineers and then making the playoff? How cool would that be? How cool would that be indeed? Rich Rod Nick Saban going back to where he grew up, West Virginia, to get West Virginia to the playoff. Now, they're stopping it short at the playoff, but we're talking about the greatest coach of all time in college football. Why not get to the championship game? Why not win a national championship? What about we say Nick Saban comes back and wins a national championship at West Virginia? I'm just saying, I am not some crazy Big 12 homer that's like, oh, the Big 12 could definitely win a national championship. It does not seem very possible at all right now. However, if there's anybody that could do it, wouldn't you say maybe be the greatest college coach of all time in Nick Saban? Wouldn't you say he'd be the guy? Nick Saban, born in Fairmont, West Virginia, won the 1968 West Virginia state championship in football as the quarterback. Yeah. How about that? Wikipedia research that I did on Nick Saban before the show today. coming back to the home state to take over the Mountaineers. Now, I know there was some discussion about this for a short little while before West Virginia brought somebody else back home in Rich Rod. And if Nick Saban really were going to get back in coaching, really had that itch and really thought that this would be a job that he would want to take over, why wouldn't he have just done it this past offseason? All fair enough questions, okay? But Ari Wasserman did raise this one. And maybe, it feels to me like Nick Saban does not love, and understandably so, the current landscape of college athletics. Now, NIL was like totally uncapped, out of control. Maybe if we go another year or two and things are reined in a bit and it's a little bit less chaotic, maybe that entices him to come back. Now, the sad thing here for West Virginia fans is that if this scenario were ever to play out, probably means that things did not go well with Rich Rod, right? Probably means that things did not go well with the first prodigal son coming back home and returning. So the timing on this just seems like impossible. But thinking about that, not just for West Virginia fans, which obviously that would be very cool. It would be a massive opportunity for West Virginia if that were to happen. But think about the Big 12 then. You've got Deion and Nick Saban in the same conference. Like the novelty value of that and the eyeballs that would be on the league from that alone would be great. And think about naming rights here. Think about how much money you could milk out of Aflac if you had Nick Saban and Deion in the same conference coaching against each other. They could just literally make an Aflac commercial while they're on the field at the same time playing each other, West Virginia and Colorado. If you're going to get naming rights to the conference, the Aflac 12 would probably be a thing in very short order if you've got Nick Saban and Deion Sanders coaching against each other in the same conference. Nobody, if Nick Saban came back and got West Virginia even just to the playoff, could anybody ever touch that resume as being the greatest of all time? And that's not a slam to West Virginia's program. Obviously, there are the resources there to make the playoff. But if he could get there, do some damage, pull a 2022 TCU, get to the title game or something, it'd be an untouchable greatest of all time resume for Nick Saban. So, look, I'm just saying. If that were to happen too, then you would have Belichick, Deion, and Saban all coaching outside the SEC and the Big Ten. Assuming this would happen in a few years, Belichick would still be there, which seems like a hell of an assumption at this point. But that would be awesome too, to get that much coaching firepower outside of the Big Ten and the SEC. So sign me up is all I'm saying. Okay, sign me up for this. West Virginia's already ponied up a ton of resources for Rich Rod. How much do you think they would pony up for Nick Saban? Like Pat McAfee's given a lot of money. I know Rich Rod is his dude. You think Pat could find it in his heart to find a few more shekels if they got the greatest coach of all time there? I would love to see it. Look, someone send this to Nick. Clip it, send it to Nick. He's got my endorsement. Nick, if you were on the fence, if you're wondering how people would feel about this publicly, this is one very public endorsement from a micro influencer. All right, from one micro influencer to another. Nick, please do it. Please do it.